Last year was the first year that I cooked my holiday beef on a chair. And I will not be cooking it any other way from here on out. The method in question, of course, is sous vide. And there's three main reasons why it's a superior cooking method, especially during the crazy holidays.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Maybe somewhere.
The first reason is consistency and control. The holidays can get crazy. You can forget things. You can leave things in too long. Things happen. The only way that I know to ensure perfect results every time, even in the midst of all that chaos, is with a sous vide machine. The second reason is that it's largely hands-off, a bit of a set it and forget it.
You set it and you forget it.
There really is no need to check temperatures or to worry about leaving it in the oven too long, because when you use one of these, it's essentially impossible to overcook. And the third reason is it can be cooked anywhere. For the most part, this doesn't get cooked on the stove or the oven, freeing up space for you to kind of manage the sides and the sauces and everything else without too much going on or too much in the oven. All you need is an outlet and a place to sit it. So you can put it anywhere away from the madness, like say, for example, in a quiet little corner on a chair. And I know what you're saying. You're saying, I gotta get one of these now? Is it really worth it? Here's what I'll say. Out of all the nice to have culinary gadgets in a home kitchen, I'm taking the sous vide machine every time. Now, like most of my holiday recipes, prep starts a day before. And we're gonna be cooking beef tenderloin, obviously, so I've got myself here a whole untrimmed beef tenderloin, and we're gonna go through that whole process. So first up, I'm just gonna remove it from its packaging, just blot off any of that moisture that's left over. So this is what a beef tenderloin looks like untrimmed. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff that's just meant to peel right off. For a lot of this, we don't really even need our knife. And so what I'm gonna do is start to pull apart what is called the chain. And on the opposite side of this little chunk that sticks out, that's where the chain's gonna be. And if you use your thumb, you can start to release it from the meat of that tenderloin. Stuff like this, you could save, you could chop it up, or you could use it for your beef stock. That's good stuff. Same with the bottom here, all of this stuff, all the little white fat, that can get cleaned up. Now some people like to keep this little chunk on, but again, that's good meat. You can cook that on its own as a little steak, clean it up. You got like a little tenderloin piece on its own right there, perfect to cook just as is. So as you can see, most of the bottom's cleaned up, and on the top, we're all left with this silver skin. So what we do for that, wiggle our knife under there just by the end and sort of release the silver skin. And if you can, getting it in one stroke is kind of nice. Like create some nice tension, keep the blade of the knife angled upward slightly and just kind of wiggle. Just like removing skin from fish. Then just inspect the beef and remove any of that silver skin that you might see. Now the little tail ends, we don't really want. That is a little stir-fry meal right there. And then we're left with not exactly a Chateaubriand. The Chateaubriand would be just the thickest parts, but it's an expensive piece of beef. Now the only real consideration to size is that we're gonna need to fit this into a Ziploc. So if I cut that in half, that should be the perfect size. Maybe half your family likes it medium, maybe they like it medium rare or well done. Now you have an option to control 2 pieces of meat cooked to perfection without too much fuss. And all we gotta do, just tie it up a little bit. Keep it nice and uniform as it cooks. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these scraps right here, toss them in a pan, make some beef tallow. Just gonna let that slowly render out all of its fat. It's gonna get crisp, then we can strain it out and use it to cook the beef tomorrow. I've already got some beef broth, so I'm gonna use this stuff to fortify that tomorrow. Then, overnight, we're gonna season these with salt and allow them to dry brine. Kinda wanna be more liberal than you think. Now all this stuff's gonna go into the fridge overnight, uncovered. Now if you don't have a beef stock or sous vide machine or anything, I've got ways of cooking beef tenderloin and getting you set up with beef stocks as a base for your amazing sauces for the holidays. All of my holiday plan of attack linked down in the description. Now that's all set, we're just gonna check on our beef tallow. Now our beef fat is slowly rendering down, and essentially what we want to do is cook this over medium-high heat until that starts to brown, slowly extracting the fat out of the meat. The meat will shrink, it will brown, and more fat will release into the pan. And the fat is what we want. We want to cook that beef until it's given us everything it's got. You can bring it over to the counter and strain. I'm just gonna pop this in the fridge. It's gonna cool, solidify, and it's ready to use tomorrow, and we're just about wrapped up with prep. Everything else we can do the next day. So now it's the next day, likely Christmas Day for you. And our beef's been in the refrigerator all night. It's darkened, it's absorbed all of that salt, and it's nice and dry, which means it's gonna get a nice sear. So I'm gonna take about a hefty tablespoon, add it to the pan, get it melted. Once it's searing hot, we can add our beef, and we wanna quickly sear and brown all sides of the beef without really cooking any part of the inside. So once we've got some nice color developed, we're gonna pull them out of the pan, rest them on a sheet tray, and then I'm gonna toss some garlic in the pan and just brown it. Bring out some nice color so that we can add it to the bag that we're cooking the beef. So now we've got our beef seared with a little bit of garlic for flavoring in the bag. These pieces back here, we're going to fortify a stock with, and then I'm gonna leave these in the fridge for a little snack, a meal sometimes later. Now we don't need any fancy gear, no fancy expensive vacuum sealers. All we're gonna use is some freezer Ziploc bags. I'm gonna put one tenderloin in each bag, a couple of these garlic cloves, a sprig of rosemary, a few sprigs of thyme, and then we got a little beef fat. Now that fat's still cold, so I'm just gonna nuke it real quick just to soften it, and then I'm gonna pour about 1/4 cup in each bag, spread the fat all around the beef, and then pack up that second piece of beef. Now these are ready to be thrown into the sous vide machine, but what you could do is instead of the day before, you salt it 2 days before Christmas. The day before, you sear it, prep it like this. Then the next day on Christmas, all you gotta do is drop these guys into the sous vide machine, take them out, sear them, finish them, and you're ready to go. Totally hassle-free. So I'm just gonna roll these up and just half zip them. And just in case any breakage or any holes in there, I just do a double bag. So now we just gotta set up a sous vide machine. So I open the app, I'll search beef tenderloin, I'll go down to start cooking, and I'll set my time and temp. I'm gonna go with the 126, gives me a little leeway when I go and sear it later. I think 133 would be a little too hot. And of course you can pick any temperature you wanna cook it to. You choose fresh, you gotta measure how thick the roasts are from the look of it. On the thickest side, it's about 2 inches. So all we're gonna do now is wait for that water to get up to our cooking temperature. Then we can add our beef. And by the way, with a machine like this, you could do it in one of these tubs, in a pot if you want. Really anything that can just withstand a little bit of heat. So it looks like the water's preheated. Now the reason you don't need one of those vacuum sealers is as you add it to the water, you sort of push the air out of the bag and it kind of naturally vacuum seals. Seal it. Then we're gonna put a weight down. That's gonna keep those bags submerged. Then we're gonna put a lid on to prevent evaporation. And so it's gonna cook for about 2 hours at 125. And like I said, it doesn't need to take up oven space, stove space, or counter space. We're gonna tuck this away on a chair. Now we can focus on our sauce. We're gonna be making a Madeira wine sauce this year. And I know I said I had some beef stock. Actually, I had some bone broth, which is a combination of beef and chicken. So to fortify this into more of a beef stock, that's where these bits come in. Now, like I said, we're gonna be searing this beef 2 times. One before we sous vide and one after. So to get a good sear, we're gonna need a good pan. So I'm going with the carbon steel frying pans, thanks to our sponsor today, Made In. Made In's award-winning carbon steel frying pans are made in Sweden, the perfect hybrid between a cast iron pan and a stainless steel frying pan. It heats quickly, it's much lighter than cast iron, so it's gonna be a lot easier on your wrists. But like a cast iron, it has incredible heat retention, which is what we need to sear. And just like cast iron, the more you use it, the more layers of a natural non-stick seasoning you're gonna develop on the surface. And their carbon steel collection can go from stovetop to oven and even over an open fire up to 1200 degrees. Obviously it's the holidays and we're all looking for perfect gifts for our loved ones. And if there's a cook in your life, they're gonna want a good quality pan like this one or any of Made In's amazing products. And of course I'm gonna save you money, so if you wanna pick up one of these as a gift or for yourself, link's gonna be down in the description. Now for making the sauce, we're gonna take those scraps, get them chopped up into smaller bits, and get them in the pan with some beef tallow. And we want to create really deep browning on this meat. You're gonna render some of that fat, which we don't need for the sauce, so we can get it back into our little bowl with the rest of the tallow. Then I'm gonna toss in some garlic and begin to brown that along with the beef. Continue draining off fat as it renders. And once we've got deep caramelization in the beef and on the bottom of the pan, we're ready to deglaze with that Madeira wine. I'm gonna add a little bundle of thyme and then I'm gonna bring that up to a boil and reduce that all the way down until it's a glaze. Once we're at that glazed consistency, I'm gonna add about a cup or two or half of a quart of the stock. Again, we're gonna bring it up to a boil, reduce it down until that becomes a glaze-like consistency as well. Next, we can add the rest of that stock, and then I'm gonna just drop the heat and slow this down. And finish cooking this for like 30, 40 more minutes until the liquid reduces and the meat has given us all we've gotten. And this happens entirely while that beef is cooking. So right before that beef is done, I'm gonna strain that into a fat separator. We've got about 1 cup, which is all we really need for this. And I'm gonna get that into a small pot, leaving that fat in the fat separator. I'm gonna bring it up to a boil and then begin to add about 1/4 cup of cream, which is gonna give it a little body. And then I'm gonna reduce it slightly before we kill the heat. We give it a taste, check for seasoning, and then we can check the consistency. It's not holding the back of a spoon. So off the heat, we're gonna stir in 1 cold knob of butter at a time, swirling it until that butter melts completely before we add any more. And after about 3-4 tablespoons of butter, that sauce has already thickened. It can coat the back of a spoon. We're gonna just set it off on a low heat and let that continue to slowly reduce while we finish off the beef. So it's about 30 seconds, this cook's gonna be done. And the beauty of this is that if I'm not ready to serve it, that's gonna sit in this water. And you can hold it in here for about 3 hours, 4 hours max, and it will not overcook. One thing you might run the risk of though is with a super tender cut like filet, the longer you put it in, the mushier texture you might get. Whereas if you cook something with a lot of muscle fiber and connective tissue, the longer you cook it, the more tender it will be. So depending on when your crowd comes, mine comes a little bit later, so I could throw it in at like 1 o'clock. It's done by 3 p.m. We eat dinner at 5 p.m. So it'll just sit there for 2 hours while we prepare the rest of dinner. And then all you gotta do is sear it, which we're about to do. Now what we wanna do, get those juices. Just gonna make a little hole at the top, pour out those juices. Looks like it's mostly fat, so if there was any other good juices, I would have added that to our sauce. And just get those onto a sheet tray. Now they're ready for their second sear. So now that sauce has continued to reduce, it's nice and glazy and it's perfect for this. We want a really concentrated demi-glaze to top this with. Next up, I'm gonna get my Maiden carbon steel back on the stove and we're gonna again add beef tallow to it. We wanna sear this fast, so once that pan is searing hot, I'm gonna take 1 of the halves of tenderloin at a time. I'm gonna sear the ends of it first, and then I'm gonna sear it on all sides really quickly to develop some nice deep color and flavor on the crust of these tenderloins. Sometimes I'll tilt the pan and sort of cradle it. It kind of helps sear more of the surface area of the beef. Keep it rotating, and once all sides are browned beautifully, pull it out of the pan and go ahead and sear off that second piece of beef. And at this point, they don't even need to really rest. They can be cut and served immediately. All goes well, these should be absolute perfection. Let's go through and snip off any of those strings. Next up, all we have to do is slice them into about 1/2-inch portions. That's how I like my steak. It's like a perfect medium. You cook it however you like. But how I cooked it is a mouthfeel that I enjoy in my filet mignon. This is Christmas after all, so we have to present it beautifully. So I'm gonna take a platter and just sort of shingle them on top of each other. I'm just gonna simply put a little rosemary in the center. And then you're ready to have Christmas dinner. You serve it, drizzle a little bit of that sauce on top of each piece of meat, and you sit down with your family, have a nice glass of wine, and finally enjoy a moment of peace after another chaotic year on this planet. The meat, seasoned, tender, the way that I like it cooked. I like it blushing, pink, not too rare for a filet mignon. You cook it however you like. The sauce is sweet, almost nutty, caramelly, but has that rich body of the stock and that wine. It's the kind of thing you expect when you go to a restaurant, but you're gonna serve this for your family this year. And the way you're gonna get it is in my holiday plan of attack link down in the description. Not in a book yet, I'm working on it for next year, but it's an ebook. It houses all of my holiday recipes, including the first Chateaubriand with port wine sauce that I've done, and many, many more recipes that have helped families all over the country transform their holiday meals. So if you want to support me and the channel, this is one of the best ways to do it. Link to this is gonna be down in the description. I'm gonna enjoy an entire beef tenderloin to myself. That's all that I got today. I'll see you next time. Until then, take care of yourself and go feed yourself.